Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is January 21st, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see we've got the Doppler radars overlaid here. We're looking at yesterday evening. It's a rain started to creep up across western Washington and Seattle again. But before that, we had some pretty majestic lenticular cloud activity across Mount Rainier and the Cascades and the Olympic Mountains of Washington, and I think down across Oregon and California as well. I saw some pictures coming across social media of that. So nice conditions for lenticular clouds yesterday. However, now the rain is going to be the story here over the next few days. We continue some of these impulses up across the area, and you can see as I put it through the motions here, you can see last night my Tempest was actually picking up some of the heavy rain here as this band moved up over Seattle. A little bit of a break this morning, but then we're returning that slug of moisture back up over western Oregon this morning, and it's just now reaching the Seattle metro as I'm doing the video here. And again, these systems are going to continue on in through the next few days, and then we bring a stronger system out here that's going to bring another frontal system as we go through Wednesday and Thursday, and then through the extended forecast models continue to show some strong atmospheric river potential into the Pacific Northwest here. Could get some wind with that. It's purely fantasy for now, but we'll take a look at those details as we go through the video this morning. Taking a look at 2-meter temperature, still a tiny bit of chilly air across western Oregon, but we are above freezing. Frozen precipitation threat is now over west of the Cascades, and you can see as we go through today into tomorrow, we have modified those temperatures even east of the Cascades. If I scroll back towards this morning, you can see some of that chillier air still trapped east, but we're making short work of that here over the next few days. We still do have some light freezing rain potential as we go through the day today, however. And looking at, I wanted to point this out across some of the gorge here as well. There still is the ice storm warning as we go through the day today, and you could get a few tenths of an inch additional ice accumulation, and you can kind of see that propagate out across eastern Washington and Oregon. But again, should be wrapping up by tomorrow morning. This is seeing that ice storm warning there off to the east of Portland. Again, the Willamette Valley should be clear of any freezing rain at this point. And you can see that ice storm warning back in the gorge goes to 4 p.m., 2 tenths to 4 tenths additional ice accretion with that. And one more time here, National Weather Service Spokane with the slick sidewalks and roads at times this weekend as we start to warm up there as well. And Pendleton, Oregon, something similar. Just mentioned the freezing rain or mixed wintry precipitation. Again, mainly today, should be wrapping that up by tomorrow. So now take a look at this Tempest station here, because I check this more than I do my much more expensive professional weather station equipment at my home now, because the smartphone is just extremely handy, and it does haptic rain gauge, can tell you exactly when the rain starts. It's got an ultrasonic anemometer. It's got a lightning detection system with it as well, all solar powered and wireless. You hook it up to your Wi-Fi, and that's all you have to do. And again, tells you when it starts, the rain, and when the lightning strikes and how far it is away. Very fun to have the station attached to your home. Click down below to save 10% on that. Now, looking at the European, this is hot off the presses. I waited a little bit so we could look at some of this information here, and you can see we've got this troughing here kind of spreading these weak impulses back across Pacific Northwest, deeper low approaches, and then we bring another system here on the day Wednesday. That storm system moves through here, and the Gulf of Alaska looks like it's going to get cranking here as we get towards the end of the month, and there is some atmospheric river potential with that. More on that here, starting with the GFS, which is the 12Z run, and if we look in the short term, these impulses move back up over the area, precipitation continuing on into the day Tuesday. A little bit of a break on maybe Tuesday night into Wednesday before that next system arrives on Wednesday afternoon. Kind of a mediocre front there, but it's still going to continue the rainfall. And then we start to turn our eyes out to that Gulf of Alaska that starts to get going here as we have some more impressive atmospheric river potential starting to take shape here. But again, you look at how far we're looking out, 200 hours. So you really got to take that with a grain of salt. This is purely just entertainment at this point. And you can see, look at the low pressure, the center of the GFS shows. This is just one of many plausible scenarios with an outlook like this as you start to get the Gulf of Alaska troughing going here, but purely entertainment only at this time. Now, looking at the European, this is the 12Z run. So again, with the impulses in the next few days as we go through Tuesday, a little bit of a break here. Then this next system rolls in on the day Wednesday, as you can see, and maybe another little bit of a break here before that Gulf of Alaska low really starts to get rolling. And you can see some of this powerful atmospheric river potential here as we go through the extended. And this is not even that far out, really. I mean, you're talking about, 120 hours out. So yeah, the signal is still there. The models continue to show it. So we'll continue to break that down day by day. We're not going to get caught up in any details on that just yet. However, it is still a little bit too far out. Now, total precipitation in inches on the National Blend of Models is a 15Z, hot off the presses as well. And you can see California getting some pretty good precip also here over the next few days. But you can see how the storm track is pointed at the Pacific Northwest as we go on in towards the end of January, towards the beginning portion of February. This would put us back up over average here for many locations, especially Cascades westward. And you can really see the dramatic rain shadowing effects across some of eastern BC and eastern Washington, Oregon. And again, once you get back up to the higher terrain there, you start to pick up those precipitation amounts. But look at these amounts across Vancouver Island and the Olympics. They're all the way down through California and all the way back up towards southeast Alaska. So yeah, interesting stuff as we look onto the extended. We'll continue to watch that and see how that storm track evolves in the models over the next few days. Here's total snow in inches. Nothing too crazy to look at here. You can see kind of typical snow buildup. And, we are behind right now, so I don't know how much we're going to be catching up, especially here in the next few weeks as we go through the end of the month. That southwest flow is not great for snowpack building here. But we'll see how it trends here. We're still looking off into Fantasyland a little bit. And I wanted to share some El Nino information with you. I've got every La Nina, neutral condition, and El Nino condition all the way back to 1981 here. And look at these strong El Ninos. 0 snow. Strong El Nino. 0 snow. Strong El Nino. The only day in the last 40 plus years for SeaTac that recorded snowfall during a strong El Nino was January of 1998. And you can see the strong El Nino of 09 to 10. 15 to 16 here, nothing. And we have 0 so far this year. We do have that trace amount, but you can see that strong signal there with these strong El Ninos. Really tough to get snowfall in here. However, during the weaker and moderate El Ninos, you can get some exceptions, as you can see here. However, we are in a strong El Nino right now. So you can never rule it out here. It's just not promising looking as we go on in through the rest of the winter and on into spring. And hopefully I'm reverse jinxing things here because nobody wants snow down into the lower elevations more than I do. Now, looking at El Nino versus La Nina, you can see January about 1.3 degree difference here. That's notable, but not as big as what comes in February. Check it out. You're looking at 3.1 degree. That's a mean temperature too. So this is a pretty strong signal. And as you go off towards March, also over 3 degrees as well. So El Nino late winter and spring tends to be much above average here for the Pacific Northwest. And that continues on in through April there as well. And will this start to show its head here as we go on in towards February and March? We've had a pretty chilly January here, so that kind of bucked the trend a little bit already. So maybe we'll get really lucky and throw some more Arctic air down to the Pacific Northwest. It just doesn't look that likely, as you can see. Pretty strong signal during El Nino conditions here in the Pacific Northwest. And just a reminder, if you're going off in the backcountry, check out avalanche.org. You can click on any single one of these individual areas that you might be headed to, and it gives you all kinds of additional information. You can see the considerable threat across some of the Oregon Cascades, up across the Washington Cascades, where there's some moderate considerable as well. Now, this is looking back 60 days. Just kind of a reminder here that we did have a very warm December. And you can kind of see that reflected here. You can see there's a mixed bag of some areas below and some areas above average here. So it's kind of averaged out quite nicely. Even though this really cold Arctic air mass did move, you can see a lot of Montana is still above average if you average things out over the last 60 days. This is precipitation as well. You can see places like Seattle between 70 and 90% here. So we are still running a deficit for some areas, although again, it is a mixed bag. You can see some areas above, but pretty strong signal across Montana and Idaho for well below average precipitation as we've gone over the last 60 days as well. And this is looking out 6 months. So you can see again, Seattle between 70 and 90% of normal here. Some of the Cascades even only between 50 and 70% right across the Central Cascades. That would include Stevens Pass and Snoqualmie Pass here. And again, kind of a mixed bag across the eastern portions of Washington, some of southern Idaho and Wyoming out there also. Now, looking at the comparison slider here on the drought monitor here. So look at the extreme drought we had across Western Oregon, Washington, and Western Montana here back on December 26th. Then we're going to bring the slider bar here and show you what's coming, what is currently out there for January 16th. So look at Montana. Look at that improvement, just wiping that extreme drought out of there. A little bit of severe drought left, and across the Idaho Panhandle, we've had some improvement. Big improvement across Eastern Washington also. Then you can see we erased that extreme drought from the Cascades and Western Oregon there. So we have been improving here. And just a reminder that drought is a normal pattern of the climate. It is not something that the U.S. Drought Monitor puts out there to scare you or to trick you or anything like that. There's a lot that goes into that. Click into it if you want to know more about it here. But you can see we have gone through very nice improvement since late December. But anyway, yeah, so we're going to continue to watch that extended forecast because it looks like we have the potential for some stronger atmospheric river, and there is even a wind potential here. If things line up right, we could get a windstorm moving up our coastline. Purely fantasy right now. Just, I like to nip these forecasts in the bud a little bit here because, I have people that always ask me at work or in my personal life here. I work with a lot of people at Alaska Airlines that always want to know what the weather is down the road, and they show me their smartphones. And like when this last Arctic outbreak came in, we had smartphones that were lighting up. I had people showing me that there were temperatures in the single digits for Seattle and all this snow for all these locations. And so that's why I put out these forecasts in advance. I try to communicate the uncertainty with these forecasts. I'm not trying to hype weather up out 10 to 14 days in advance. I'm trying to beat the smartphone apps out there that are just showing ridiculous storms moving in or ridiculous temperatures here. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm just out here hyping. I will not do that. I will bring it to you straight every single time. I know there's plenty of hype out there on social media. You'll have people posting GFS maps that go out 384 hours, 16 days in advance, and they'll be showing you these low resolution snow maps and all this kind of stuff across the Pacific Northwest. And I'm not going to show you those maps. I'm going to tell you the uncertainty, but I'm going to show you that the potential for some cold air during that time frame may be coming, for example, here. And I'm going to try to bring some sensibility to some of those smartphone apps that I get shown every single day in my personal life. And so I want to make things a little bit more clear here across the region. So anyway, I hope that makes sense here. Leave some comments below. Ask me some questions. We'll see how that goes. And so we'll do this again tomorrow. We'll check out the extended forecast as always. We'll see how that model runs are trending with those storms. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow.